Secondly, as far as your relatives who visit the graves, as far as visiting the graveyard with the proper Islamic etiquette, it is something that is praiseworthy. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, I had forbidden you from visiting the graveyard, now I'm asking you to resume visiting the graves, because it will remind you with death. And we are in need to be constantly reminded with the fact that you will die, soon you will die. How soon? Sooner than you can imagine. It could be right now. But when one is working constantly, especially working in haram, and going to movies and hanging around with girls, he believes that he's living forever. He does not imagine that I may drop dead right now. It doesn't have to be a heart attack or either cancer or whatever, for no reason. Just drop dead. So visiting the graveyard would give you the sense of the life is very short, you got to prepare for it. And say the dua. But if you're talking about visiting the graveyard and doing the violations which you refer to, that is haram. So what should we do? And if you have some family members who are doing these acts of shirk or begging from people in the graves, what should we do? We should do as Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam instructed us. من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه فإن لم يستطع فبقلبه وذلك أضعف الإيمان. Whenever you see some evil, some bad, some wrongdoing, you're supposed to correct it or try to change it. And the different levels of changing the evil based on having access to each one of them, or being capable to utilize each one of these levels. For instance, when the Prophet ﷺ said, فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدِهِ, the authority. So if the person who's doing so is either your wife, your son, or your daughter, you have an authority to stop them from going. No, you're not going. Okay. You're not wearing this. You're not doing that, because you have an authority. If you're a governor, you can regulate this process. What if you don't have access to that? You're not an authoritative person. فَبِلِسَانِ, by giving them the advice, showing them the proof. Show them what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, what the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, by various means. Either talking to them directly, send them an audio tape, or a message, or a small booklet, in a way or another. They still don't get it, and they are not listening. Then, فَبِقَلْبِهِ, you detest that. You dislike it, and you disagree, and you do not spare a chance where you have an opportunity to give them an advice, but you should constantly advise them and debate with them in a good way. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. 25 years ago, the area in which I was living, it was it was very hard to find a woman who's wearing hijab. And people were doing these practices. In the city which I was born in, they had the biggest pier. And people go there, literally worship the pier, literally. Every year there was a huge number of people who would come from all over the world, local and expats, just to attend the birth of this person who even used not to pray. And his followers were proud that he used not to pray. So when we asked them, why didn't he used to pray? They say, because he was in a very high status. And when somebody gets in a very high status, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala waives the mandate of the prayer. أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Such hearts have locks on them. They won't get it. So in any case, alhamdulillah, shukla, through constant da'wah, now things have changed. You can barely see a woman without wearing hijab. If you see a woman without hijab, you say she's Christian. She's not Muslim. Right away. To that extent. And the number of those who attend these celebrations now are minute.